I'm lost in darkness, searching for light. Every step forward feels like a fight. Shadows of doubt creep in my mind, but I refuse to surrender. I must find a way to rise above the pain, to overcome, to break the chains. My existence is a test of will. I won't be broken, I'll stand still. The weight of the world crushes me down. Fear and uncertainty all around. But I deep find inner strength to face the trials length by length. A way to rise above the pain, to overcome, to break the chains. My existence is a test of will. I won't be broken, I'll stand still. Day to day, nothing changes. All I want is a moment to think clearly, but thoughts come unrelenting, consuming every waking moment. My mind binds me and I can't escape. I shout for help, but no one hears me. One day I feel I'll just disappear, lost in this chaos.
Woohoo! All right, and we are live. Welcome everyone to another edition of the Dirt Sheet Radio Dynamite Recap. That is quite the mouthful, but hey, guess what? We are your boys back at it again, and hey, look, it's the main three trio. Let's go.
Yeah!
What is up?
We
It's
are
your boy
back.
Meek Dynamite. Again, the boys are here. The boys are back in town. Let's just get through some quick introductions with everyone. Who's that to my side? Is that you, Robbie?
Oh, yes, it is. It's your boy Robbie back once again for a great All Elite Wrestling. 1/3 of the modern day triple threat in this business. So let's go ahead and throw it on down below. And who do I see there? Is that my fellow friend over there, Caesar over there that I see?
How's it going, guys? Yes, it is the one and only Caesar hanging out here with these two fun gentlemen talking about that thing we love to talk about. It is AEW Pro Wrestling. But that's the easy way of starting this. Nick, how should we properly start this? How about that ending segment?
Yes. So, hey, usually we go through that main event, but the main event for tonight's show was a segment. And it wasn't just any type of segment. Fellas, this was
The
the
segment.
return of the best bout machine, the return of the cleaner. This was the return of Kenny freaking Omega.
The final
Wow, it
boss.
is so wild to see this guy back at it. We remember, what was it, a year or two ago when
Yeah, at
he had to
least.
leave, from
Mhm.
that diverticulitis episode, and
That's
that
the
was,
name. I was trying to remember it. I was drawing a hard blank there. Thank you
yes.
for reminding me the name.
And hey, Kenny Omega walks his way to the ringside area, and listen, that was just pure aura. You know, a lot of people, when we saw everyone else throughout the night on AEW, we just had a lot of very intense, very fast, rapid theme songs. Kenny Omega's coming out much slower, and it's much of a lower pace. But that was perfect. It was all ambience, it was all aura. Kenny Omega walks into the ring, and he was talking about how a little over a year ago he was diagnosed with diverticulitis, and Omega said that was basically keeping him almost 1 foot in the grave because it was that bad, and if he didn't get the help that he saw when he did, he'd be dead by now. And Kenny just says how much of a roller coaster it's been, frequent surgeries, frequent trips to the hospital, but he honestly thought that his career was going to end in one moment. But you know what? Kenny Omega, he kept fighting because that's the best bout machine, and even death can't hold him down. The best bout machine kicks out at 2, and the man is just testing out everything that from pushing himself to going and wrestling in Tokyo, Japan. He refound his purpose, and he is back in AEW Dynamite. And before we get to everything else that happened in this segment, guys, let's just take a moment, go around the table, talk about how great it is to see Kenny Omega back at it. Caesar, you want to start us off?
Well, I'm gonna kind of borrow something that Robbie said earlier about the whole Mortal Kombat thing, and yes, his entrance did very look very Mortal Kombat-esque, which is
Oh
pretty
yes.
badass considering, it is, as you said, the best bout machine returning to AEW. So I'm happy to see him. And it was cool to actually hear his theme or his new one. Sorry, let's get it proper because I know the credit sheet he showed of who's partaking on the song is very long, but we won't get into it now. As for its returning segment, it was good to hear him actually back on the microphone. And again, divic, div,
Diverticulitis.
diverticulitis. Holy crap! I'm gonna mess that up every time. Let's get a counter started. No. Um, as for going forward, I am curious to see where this is gonna take him because was he teased so far? The him and Okada, him with Ospreay. So it's like I wonder where he's gonna go next. What do you guys think? I'm kind of curious and excited, I should say.
Yeah, I mean,
Robbie, what do you
you've
think?
got those. I'm sorry to interrupt you there, Robbie, but I was just gonna jump off there and say you had two rivals in Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay that came face to face, and it was literally a case of the enemy of my enemy is my friend. But go ahead, Robbie.
What can I say? That the cleaner, the AEW Executive Vice President, for those of you who tuned in before Omega had returned, or even way before, and you just tuned in and you're a new fan who don't know who Kenny Omega is, well, let me remind you who the best bout machine is. This man has
Meek.
electrified so many people. And to seeing him battle the illness that he battled, almost like we said, dying, cheating death once again. And did death really think that he was going to take out the best bout machine? It's bad enough he took so many legends around his age already from us. And seeing Kenny Omega, who's had one of the best runs I have seen outside WWE, without a shadow of a doubt. If you look on the best list of wrestlers outside WWE, almost every single year you see Kenny Omega is on the top of that list. 7-star matches from Dave Meltzer. You got him wrestling Okada. And then for Caesar's question, who I think he's going to go for next, he's going to go for the guy who took him out. He's going to go right after the Elite. I think Okada's coming up next before he finishes up his business with the Death Riders for sure. And seeing Kenny Omega come back, it brings what AEW is all about. I felt like there was something missing, like a little artifact of AEW. And not having Kenny Omega around, it's like taking the person who helped build that company to what it was alongside the Young Bucks,
That's badass.
alongside Cody Rhodes, and that's I knew too. That's what I was about to do right now was shout out the guy who sat there and had that sign saying Kenny Omega cured his depression, because that's how Kenny Omega is. Kenny
Bruv.
Omega is a role model to a lot of young people out there who watch professional wrestling. Thank God that Kenny Omega is back on our fucking TVs. Let's
If
go.
if I may chime in before we proceed with Neek explaining more about stuff. Um, I remember the first match I actually saw Kenny Omega's. I had some friends tell me, "Hey, check out this guy. He's not from North America, or he's not in the North America scene, but he's a wrestler." And I was like, "Who is it?" And I was shown. Don't quote me on which one this stud is. I'm probably gonna get butchered in the comments, or somebody's gonna laugh at this one. It was a Wrestle Kingdom with him and Okada, I think, for the belt. It was like the hour-long match. It's the first match I'd ever seen of those two. Never. I didn't know who either one of those guys were. I knew one was Canadian, one was Japanese. That's all I knew going in. And somehow I sat through the whole match, didn't blink an eye of sleep. My heart was racing. I was just like, who are these guys? And here we are, 10 years probably since then. And seriously, top tier shit right there. So looking
Absolutely.
forward.
I mean, I'm thinking now about, after your story, Caesar, I'm thinking about the first time I ever saw Kenny Omega. And I remember, because again, one of my favorite traditions is K Dojo, DDT, and Big Japan Wrestling had this New Year's show that they do every year, and right from New Year's Eve going into the New Year. And for 2009 going into 2010, that was my first time seeing Kenny Omega, and that was just him as a comedy wrestler in DDT. And all of a sudden, I kind of fell off of following Japanese wrestling for a bit. Next thing I know, I'm hearing that he's in the Bullet Club, and this is the main event of Wrestle Kingdom, and I'm like, really, Kenny Omega? But
That's all.
yeah, but like, listen,
Yeah.
he made me a believer, and after not following for so long, to then all of a sudden seeing what he could do in the main event, like that's big match Kenny right there. I mean, come on, the dude feels like no pressure going into those big matches, and he can kill it and literally hit it out of the park every single time.
Freaking none.
And
How
as we've
is he such a
talked
freak
about
of
too.
nature?
It's what we have in the water up here.
And then for me, my first moment of Kenny Omega was I remember watching the highlights of Kenny Omega. I knew who he was, but I couldn't find out the way to get my hands on any New Japan Pro Wrestling event until I turned into that year of where Jericho came over to New Japan to face Omega.
Ooh.
That was my first real match seeing Omega in was Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho. And right from there, I was hooked. I'm like, I gotta watch all the rest of these matches he's had. I've seen him face Okada. I've seen him in AEW. I've seen what he was able to do in TNA. It's just amazing. It's one of those things of how the hell did WWE not get their hands on Kenny Omega before anybody else? Is the question.
Creative.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean,
That's what I'm thinking it is.
it was without a doubt one of the probably biggest missed opportunities to not sign him. But honestly, though, again, when you watch Kenny Omega, like he embodies that spirit, that heart and soul for AEW. Him and his matches were one of the foundational reasons that AEW even exists in the first place. If you really take it back to like we were talking about with Wrestle Kingdom. But getting back to it, because this is kind of by that same token, another guy who is heavily involved in that aspect, Don Callis. Big Don comes out and he, typical Don Callis fashion, sticks his jackal nose where it doesn't belong. And Kenny Omega gets interrupted as Don Callis is getting ready to speak, but Omega's had enough. You just ruined his return. He has some severe hatred for you for everything that you've ever done to him. So he just rushes him. And honestly, that was the best thing that could happen for Don Callis because, hey, guess who was lying in wait? It was the Murder Machines, the Murder Hawk who just wrestled earlier, and the big brute Brian Cage himself, who is just
with a bald spot.
He's always an imposing tank, and he's fresh. He didn't wrestle at all. So you got two big monsters taking on Omega, who's just come back, and they take him back into the ringside area, and Kyle Fletcher joins in on the fray, and it's a 3-on-1 assault. Cage takes that big, strong fist of his and basically punched Omega right in the diverticulitis, and oh my gosh, that looked brutal. And the Don Callis family is getting ready to kill him further, kill Kenny Omega until Will freaking Ospreay runs his way into the ringside area, and we get two unlikely forces, former foes,
put them together,
allies, due to having a common enemy. Oh, you got to be careful, Robbie. I think Don Callis' family is going to be behind you soon.
I was going to say the House of Black.
I was going to say, is Brody King here to get me now?
Listen, we started the show off during our little introduction sequence with this at the forefront because look at this. You have the two guys who, honestly, I think if AEW is going to change the trajectory of their company, these are the two that you really need to build
them together with
company around.
Put them together.
I'm thinking of those like comparisons over the years. I think, WWE, everyone of course remembers the top two dogs always being Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage, or you had Randy Orton and John Cena.
The Rock and Stone Cold.
The Rock and Stone Cold, absolutely. Or you go to WCW, you constantly think of the two big dogs there of Sting and Ric Flair throughout their entire history. But I look here and I think these are the two top dogs in AEW, and these are the two they need to build that whole company around, the franchise players.
Not to mention, isn't Will just getting into his 30s too?
Exactly.
So he's still a baby.
Yeah, Omega is the established veteran. He's that Ric Flair role, and then you got the rising youngster in Sting with Will Ospreay. So there's a lot of amazing potential that AEW can have here. But
If they do it properly and not squash match style where they just go boom 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 boom, then yeah, I do agree with you.
yeah, so we had Ospreay saving Kenny Omega and them having a stare down. We know that there's a lot of history there, but fellas, all things considered, what do we think of this, Robbie?
What I think of this, I mean, right from the side of the start, man, I was hoping that virus Don Callis is finally going to get cut by Kenny Omega because I actually absolutely hate Don Callis. But overall, the whole thing, the beatdown, going into that illness and going after it where he was surgically repaired, great storytelling there. Knowing that now everybody in that locker room, doesn't matter who it is, they're going to aim for that now. And that is a good way to get those storytelling going in because what makes good storytelling in professional wrestling? Targeting an injury or a surgically repaired body part. And then you see Will Ospreay come down and he makes that save. As you were saying to me, this is Brett and Shawn. This is Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels for me. You've got two great wrestlers in that ring who have had barn burners after barn burners in Japan and even in Forbidden Door too in the past, I believe so. And seeing Will Ospreay coming in to save Omega, it was like maybe Will Ospreay's finally having that change of heart. Sure, he got put out of the Don Callis family, but him coming out to save his bitter rival, his arch enemy, in Kenny Omega. Now that is some. Now what we can see now is I would love to see these two team up together because that would make one hell of a fucking unit. Like what Osprey and Omega can do against each other, and then flip that and imagine what they can do in the ring together. I mean, hell, even if they wanted to make a tag team title one when the Hurt Business comes into the fold, when the Death Riders want to come get them, if Osprey and Omega is gonna be with each other on each other's side, I would be scared of that AEW locker room for sure.
Absolutely, Caesar.
So with the whole Kenny getting the beatdown, my question is why didn't Kyle do it? He would have benefited more from it rather than the murder machines, whatever they call them this week. In all
Because
honesty,
he's the
because
protostar, he doesn't have to.
I mean, like even getting a hit or two, and he got nothing. He kind of just showed up and started screaming at Kenny. That's it. And I was like, oh man, he could have done so much more, like a chair shot or two. But
Looking.
stories. So
It does
and
give us reason to set up for Kenny Omega versus the Machine, which is going to be happening next week.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's gonna be cool and all, but I know Cage always puts on good matches, no matter how long they are. I'm just curious if they're gonna do it where it's Kenny and Kyle or Coyle. Sorry.
Oh
So
yeah, for sure.
that'll
Somewhere
be
down the
You
line.
have to.
no
Because
like
it's Kyle trying to prove to Will that he's better than Will too, because he's still in that reign
I
too.
could they do that at Revolution? No, is that that's too far away. Or
They could build it to a Revolution if they really
well,
wanted to.
Yeah.
I mean,
no
I'd be
that
down.
match I wouldn't want to
Nothing's
see
too far
on.
in wrestling circles.
Yeah, technically by tomorrow it's already the next month for storytelling. Um, no, I was gonna say like with Kenny and Coyle, uh, I wouldn't want to see that on Dynamite. I wouldn't. That sounds like a match for like a you know Revolution. That's what I would see. Give him 20 minutes. Shit.
Like you said,
Just
barn burner.
everyone leave, please.
Banger.
Yeah, banga after banga, bon bana. That's how I got it. Credit card, smash. Let's go. Give it. Tony, book it. Or Don, book it. Whatever.
I
Kenny,
mean,
book it.
you got literal power in the punch from the Machine. Because imagine taking a punch from such a big, strong guy, right where you've had how many life-threatening surgeries?
Even one life-threatening surgery would still
Exactly.
do you. I'm gonna think.
Mm-hmm.
But
Exactly. Now, Robbie, I know you've got some controversial opinions when it comes to the Machine, especially if it comes down to Machine and Omega. Would you like to share that with everyone watching?
we have an
Oh
opinion
yeah,
on this
sure. Why
show.
not?
Oh
Why not?
shit.
We haven't
We're
seen
going down
Cage.
Sorry to
fast.
put you on the
Now,
spot,
here's a
buddy.
hot take.
Uh-oh.
Honestly, I'm ready
Uh-oh.
for the comments to come firing at me. It's okay.
Quick, everyone jump
Now,
to the comments right now. Get ready.
I respect Brian Cage for what he can do in the ring. The dude is athletic as all hell. He's strong as all hell. He's fun to watch for some. But for me,
Oh, here goes my
when
opinion.
I have my favorite list, when I
Sorry, I
have
had
my
to.
favorites list in any wrestling company, any time period, to me, they have to basically resonate within me. If for whatever reason Brian Cage doesn't resonate within me, I don't hate him for his wrestling abilities. He's just not one of my favorites. And honestly, I can't wait to see what Omega and Cage is going to do. But honestly, I'm an Omega simp, so honestly, I kind of hope Kenny Omega whips his candy ass, honestly, because I just can't care for Brian Cage, is all. I'd rather watch Jeff Cobb or I'd rather watch Powerhouse Hobbs than to see
No,
Brian Cage on my television screen.
I do kind of agree with Robbie, but sometimes it's cool to see those dudes that are like meat machines actually do work rather than just, here's a 5-minute squash or some crap. So
Which
I
I
do.
do really appreciate a lot of like what Brian Cage's work is, and I think a lot of it too comes from me being such a big Chris Canyon fan over the years, and you can
Damn.
always see
Throwback.
that that's a deep cut, but you can always see the Chris Canyon influence with a lot of what Brian Cage does, especially quite literally with who better than Cage, and quite honestly, Cage for such a big muscly guy, like again, I remember
He can move.
wrestlers
That's
like
one thing I'll say.
Barb
He can move.
yeah, I remember wrestlers like Barbarian and Warlord who could only dream of doing the things Brian Cage could do. So, for me, it's really cool to see someone that's as big of a tank and a
Yeah.
monster as Brian Cage and who can do the things that he can do. But especially, I know for a fact he's going to take a fantastic one-winged angel, and the visual of Kenny Omega coming back from, again, a life-threatening illness to then lift up 300 pounds of solid muscle mass and one-winged angel that meat down to the canvas. That's going to be such a cool visual.
Even if you can hold him in the air for like 5 seconds, then hit
Yeah.
the one-winged angel, that's it's like I can't. It's gonna be great. I do agree with you.
Yeah,
It's gonna be like
That's one thing I give Cage. Cage can sell. He's a great seller,
absolutely.
so he's
and
gonna take a beautiful one angel.
Oh yeah.
Like I said, I don't hate him for his work.
Right.
He just
ooh,
doesn't resonate with me. That's all.
Which is fair.
imagine having an opinion. Ooh.
Those aren't allowed here. This is the online
Yeah,
wrestling community.
you can't say your opinion on a show. No. What I was gonna say is like the way I look at it is like imagine you're playing a video game and like it's full of vehicles and like a bus comes flying at you at like 200 miles an hour. That's Brian
Dark
Cage
Knight.
coming off the top rope or something. Like, what are you gonna do?
And,
That's it.
when I think of that visual, I'm also thinking of like Big Brody King, and we were talking
Oh
about the
my
visual. I
Oh,
mentioned this in our
god.
group chat, but I'm just picturing like you have on one side of the ring, you've got the Death Riders, and on the other side of the ring, you got the Don Callis family, and Omega and Ospreay are in the middle, and then the lights go out and they just shine back up, and you've got Big Brody King and Buddy Matthews right there in the ring, standing side by side with those guys. I think visual wise that'd be really cool, but. I wanted to bring that up to not just pull us back to the start of the show, but we got a comment on here from Bernard. Hey, Bernard, thanks for joining us. What's
Hey.
going on with Malachi Black? Because at the very start of the show, we did have a great match we're going to be getting to shortly, and there was a reference there to Buddy Matthews sort of not really being a part of the House of Black anymore, and in particular, Ospreay saying that Buddy's got high potential if he goes solo or wants to focus more on like the 2-on-2 tag division. So I think a lot of people were wondering, okay, but we haven't seen Malachi in a while, and there were those rumors following the match with Adam Cole that it seemed like that was finality for him. Well, if you go to Dirt Sheet Radio social media, you can go and see some breaking news that was shared via Fightful, where AEW personnel are under the belief that Malachi was finishing up his time with All Elite Wrestling, if he hasn't already finished up.
Catering?
And it's completely unknown whether or not he's going to even appear on AEW TV again. So it's unfortunate. I wish we got something else with House of Black. It's kind of a shame for Malachi Black, who is one of the most protected wrestlers on the AEW roster, to kind of go out in such a mediocre fashion following that Adam Cole match. I don't know if you guys agree with that or disagree with it.
Just the fact that he's gone. That's it.
I mean, I agree with you. I agree with it too. But if Hunter's the one making that call, going, Alistair, man, it's time for you to come back home. Like, what can you
What?
do? If he wants to do something more in WWE, go for it. I'll support him no
Zelina's
matter
there.
what.
Yeah.
Exactly. He's got his wife there as well. And honestly, it's also if Buddy wants to eventually, Buddy can also jump back to WWE as well. Or maybe
Uh,
we can get the House of Black at some point in WWE. Who knows? Never say never in terms of professional wrestling.
I mean,
Right.
But no matter where Malachi goes, you're gonna get good matches out of him.
I was gonna say
So
like, when it comes to like Ospreay with Buddy as a tag team, like two young dudes that can basically fly. I don't know
Yeah.
about you two, but
They do power moves. They can fly. They can go technical. They can do it all.
just
but then again though too, it is probably time for at least if that's the case and they break House of Black up. That also leads to where does Julia Hart go? If that's the case, what does Brody King do? And will they even let Buddy be pushed to go solos? Because we forget that Buddy's actually a two-time WWE Cruiserweight champion
but he
at
can do
one point
better.
in time. He can go in singles action, and I hope
hmm
they give him that opportunity.
T
Oh, he
TNT
deserves it.
champion.
I can see that. I think that'd be pretty cool. Maybe one day Continental Crown.
Oh, I could easily see that easily
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I'm
after
thinking,
tonight's
yeah,
clinic.
Continental
Yeah,
Classic with Buddy. Absolutely.
Buddy versus Okada.
Exactly. You know what? We're talking about him. Let's bring it on back to the very start of the show, and we'll talk more about Buddy after that amazing match he had with Will freaking Ospreay to start off Dynamite 275, getting closer and closer to
Damn,
surpassing
275.
Nitro. But
It's weird
hey,
than 275. Man, where is the time
honestly,
gone?
that is wild. But hey, it is time to talk about that opening match because it's really nice when your wrestling show actually starts with professional wrestling and you don't gotta wait 30 freaking minutes to get to the first ring bell. Oh my gosh, what was up with that? And I'm sorry to go on a rant for another show, but please, like,
Oh
I
no,
enjoy turning on a wrestling TV show
you.
to watch
It,
wrestling within the first 10 minutes.
if I may chime in, actually, to kind of add to Neek's amazing point,
Fucking
when was the last
pyro.
time we had a pyro intro of a show? Whether it's WWE, NXT, or AEW, or TNA.
Man, getting fireworks in this economy, sheesh.
Like, come on, even just put
Not
like
even that
five
pyro
dudes in front
ball.
of the in front of the screen with like sparklers at least, or set off like
The old Gilbert presentation.
Gilbert.
yeah,
Help.
Get the fire extinguishers running.
or just get some dudes with Roman candles like this in front of the Titantron. Something,
Fans bring the fireworks.
yeah. 50 first 50 fans with fireworks get in free. There you go.
I would love to know how much insurance would be if Tony Khan was like, "Hey, bring your own fireworks."
Oh my god, I would rush down to that episode and be front row with fireworks. It'd be dangerous, but it'd be funny as hell. But
Yeah.
back to wrestling.
Back to wrestling, which itself is dangerous but cool. Is that like we got Will Ospreay defeating Buddy Matthews in 12 minutes and 40 seconds to start the show off, and
A
man,
hell of a match.
it was a great match. I barely had any notes down because I was just watching this. I was trying to grab clips because I'm just thinking like this is such an awesome, cool, integral match, and it's a great showcase for not just Will Ospreay as one of the top guys, one of the franchise players, but this was a great showcase for what Buddy Matthews can do. And in the world where the House of Black is no more, which to be fair, they did say representing the House of Black, it was Buddy Matthews, so it's still canonical in some way. But I mean, come on, Buddy Matthews is just again, he's a tank. He can go, he can fly, he can take it to the mat. Like, did you guys see that like tope suicida? It was like picture
I
perfect.
everything.
He's
That
always perfect.
I wrote two things, kind of like you did, Neek. I wrote two things down. One, match of the night? Question mark. Two, hard to follow.
Yeah,
And I don't know about you, Robbie, but those are my. That's all I've got with this one. It was great.
What can I say? It's one of these things of where I was like, Tony Khan, please book Buddy Matthews more. Like, I knew Buddy had it in him. I've seen him wrestle live before in an indie show. I've seen him wrestle over in WWE when his cruiserweight title runs. Buddy can go, and I think a lot of people forgot about that because they've only seen him in tag action or trios action. If people weren't watching it, but seeing what Buddy can do is phenomenal. And not only that, with Will Ospreay as well, being able to even hang with a Will Ospreay type version of a professional wrestler, that gives anybody that credibility of doing what they can do. And as you said as well, Nick, like if you look at that beautiful maneuver he did earlier in that match, like how can you dispute that? Plus, if you look into what Buddy can do for that organization, it's top to none. If they don't use him in that correct way, if they're not going to sit there and give him more opportunities, eventually Buddy's going to want to go back and be with his real life wife, Rhea Ripley, at that
Boo.
point. So, otherwise, overall, that match, fantastic. Great way to open. Honestly, to me, that should have been the last match of the night, honestly. If you kind of look at what everything was, I honestly felt like the gauntlet should have opened, and then we would have gotten that as your main event, so to speak, and Kenny Omega afterwards. Like, now that'll be fun, but now I
In
see why
all,
they did it, though.
in all honesty, we have both brought up good points or we've all brought up good points of the match tonight. I'm still kind of on the putting it as the first match because I feel like if we hadn't done as the first match, I probably would have chimed out for a minute and made coffee. Versus with this match happening, I literally just chimed in and grabbed a bottle of water and stared at the screen. So that's just my 2 cents, though.
Like I said, though, I see why they did it.
Yeah, but honestly, I've been seeing reports online, and not reports, but more just WrestleZone and
Opinions.
Bleacher Report, and even Fightful
Opinions.
and opinions. Absolutely, that everyone's saying that 2025 should absolutely be a big year for Buddy Matthews, and if not, that's going to be a huge drop and a huge downfall for AEW.
Let's
He's
just
such
say
a
it
great
right now.
talent.
That too. That too. Let's just say it now. If they screw up with Buddy this year, I would be like, dude, go
Yeah.
to somewhere else.
Yeah.
Even if not,
it doesn't matter. If it's Japan, go to Japan. If you want to go back
That'd be
to
awesome.
the E, go back
wow,
to
that
the
would
E.
be interesting. Well, I mean, aren't some WWE guys slowly getting featured in Noah and stuff like that? Like almost. So
Yeah.
So, you know.
Omos is there. Some NXT guys are going over there too.
Like I said, putting him in NXT not as a punishment. Would you imagine that?
Skills.
Yeah, exactly.
Is the established veteran in there? I'm just picturing, like, imagine Buddy and going to Japan and being in the G1. You know, like there's a lot
Wasn't
of.
he last year? Wasn't he?
I
Or did he not get included?
don't think he was included.
Oof, that's a big. Could he qualify for the Super Juniors? Or is he just a little bit out?
See, that's what I was wondering
depending on his
because,
weight.
yeah, he might be the slightest bit too heavy. Because that was even a stretch when WWE featured him as a cruiserweight.
Well, wasn't he just a little bit smaller when he was with Hunter? Like not much smaller, like 215, 220.
Because when you saw him next to everyone, like even like Tony Nese is a big muscly man himself, but like Buddy like towered over Tony Nese in 205.
Buddy looked like
Ironic,
Big Show
that
standing
him
next to
and
Finn
Tony
Balor.
Nese team
There
up
you go.
together.
What'd you say, Robbie?
How ironic, because I actually went to an indie show where both Tony Nese and Buddy Matthews ended up teaming up together.
That must have been a good match to watch.
That's awesome. I love Tony Nese. He's a cool dude. We're actually Facebook friends.
He seems like the kind of... Really?
Yeah, it would be a stretch. He currently, Buddy Matthews, according to Google, weighs 225 pounds.
That's Google, though. But who knows?
Yeah, listen, like, just the idea, though, that Buddy Matthews can do some more, and so many people want to see that. Like, Tony Khan, please. Like, you feature him in something. Hey, shout out. We got True Heel Heat on here. Shout out to them. Hey, welcome.
Hey, how's it going?
Shout out.
Has to be under 220 to be in the best of the Super Juniors.
Well, hey, buddy.
So he's
Go
just
ahead
slightly
and
over that
I gotta
echelon.
lose a few pounds there. I'll
shed
be
out
right back,
those,
guys.
shed out that 5 pounds and get your ass to Japan as soon as you can.
Sweat it out. But hey, True Heel Heat, thanks for joining us.
Don't even tempt me. Maybe I should try and lose a few pounds and I'll go to Japan. Let's go, Neek. Bring
All
Robbie
right,
too.
let's go, fellas.
Robbie's gonna be there for the excursion and have fun, or he can wrestle. I don't know.
Hey, you know what was a
Wrestle,
fun
why not?
excursion?
Hmm.
When everyone was sitting there having drinks with Private Party up on the stage.
Yeah,
That was fun.
our invites got lost, didn't they?
They did, but unfortunately, we had to watch from the
Cheesecake,
sidelines.
unfortunately,
No,
And
didn't
you know,
get to
no.
us.
Robbie's got a point. It's because cheesecake. He probably saw us and he's like, "Hell no, get the."
Yeah, fucking cheesecake.
Private Party though came out alongside Cheesecake as the doorman, holding open that silk rope to
Dude,
let everyone else in there.
did you see when he
Yeah,
dabbed up the
cameraman.
cameraman? That was
That was
so
great
gangster.
because
Dab the camera, but still, hey, you stay back though.
that made that
Twice,
cameraman's day.
Yeah,
twice.
That made the cameraman's day for sure.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get into that in a moment. But yeah, World Tag Team Champions of AEW Private Party come out with a bunch of baddies, mind you, and they were celebrating and they wanted to talk all about their championship victory. But there's not much time to talk about Collision because it's Dynamite right now, and we hurt people because the Hurt Syndicate came out and hey, it's not gonna be hurt business all day long. Sometimes you gotta relax, have a little leisure. So MVP, Shelton Benjamin, Bobby Lashley make their way into the party zone. Cheesecake, amazingly, and this was hilarious, pushes the cameraman back once again, be like, "No, you're not welcome," and then lets everyone in there. So MVP wants to, have a toast now and celebrate their VIP status. And as he proposes that toast, Bobby Lashley holding up. I guarantee Bobby Lashley doesn't drink any alcohol. You look at that man's physique, same with Shelton, but
I
they're
feel like
holding up their shot glasses and they're ready to make a toast to the Hurt Syndicate taking those tag team titles. Caesar, what were we gonna say there?
I was gonna say. I feel like not sorry. Bobby would be the kind of guy. Either A, you'd give him the beer cans just to crush, just for like a good giggle, because he'd be like, yeah. Or B, he'd be the guy at the door that's not even a security guard, but he's bigger than security guards at the door of a bar or like a club. He
He was
dresses well.
bigger than
He's
Cheesecake.
huge. No, he did that too. He dresses well and he's huge. Like
Exactly.
that's all I got on that one.
Yeah,
All
because
I got is looks like Private Party's losing those tag team titles a little bit soon.
it was party time. And again, like Cheesecake is a huge dude. Man himself looks like he's 300 pounds of badass muscle, and even Bobby Lashley looked much larger than him. And that's like imagine Cheesecake having to subdue a fan that was as big as Bobby Lashley. Like you're gonna need several security guards to do so. But hey, guess what? Bobby Lashley, he's not just out here to party. He is out
No.
here to wrestle. So he comes out there against another grizzled veteran, Mark freaking Briscoe, and
Reach for the sky, boy.
reach for the sky. And we had, honestly, it was not a bad match by any means. Briscoe tried everything in his arsenal to take down Bobby Lashley, but nothing was really effective in any way. And at the end of it, we see Bobby Lashley place Mark Briscoe in the hurt lock, and Briscoe doesn't even get a chance to tap out. He passes out, and Bobby Lashley just holds on to that hurt lock like his life depends on it until Private Party comes in to make the save, and the Hurt Syndicate slowly, one by one, they back off. But I think we got some contenders for those tag team titles. Fellas, what do we think? Lashley, Briscoe, and the involvement of Private Party. Caesar?
Is it bad that I was not surprised this is how it was gonna end? Like I got love for Mark Briscoe, but it, it felt like eventually he was gonna get fed to Lashley, and it was like, okay, cool, it's done. Secondly, you know the match is about to end when you hear like the announcer say something like, "Well, thank you for joining us, MVP," as he puts the headset down. So it's like, oh man, guys. But as for the tag titles, if they put the belts on Private Part or the Hurt Syndicate, it's gonna be hopefully not as like a squash match, maybe like a at least a 10-minute match because a squash would suck. Considering they have a shit brick house on their side, and Private Party has the two of them. So
All right. Robbie?
For me, I was thinking I was more shocked when the match. I think I'm more shocked to see Mark Briscoe get beat like he did. I mean, he brought the fight, yes, because he's Mark Briscoe, but I
Right.
never really seen Mark Briscoe in any of his career, whether it was in Ring of Honor or AEW. I've never seen him really get manhandled like that ever. Seeing
That's a good
Briscoe
point.
go down like that to Bobby Lashley, that was insane. Now the great thing is, I love the fact they made him pass out to the Hurt Lock and not tap because the Briscoe boys never tapped. They
Mhm.
don't tap.
Nope.
And then afterwards, with the whole thing with Private Party, and as I mentioned earlier, I don't see Private Party holding those tag team titles any longer. They want if they're gonna build this thing with the Hurt Syndicate of getting those tag team titles, at this point in time, they're gonna have to pull the trigger on them. I honestly kind of see something like the 2-man power trip, which Triple H and Stone Cold Steve Austin. I honestly think this is going to be a point where Bobby's probably going to hold the world title at one point, along with the tag team title, while Shelton's holding the damn TNT title and the tag team title as well. At this point, I think Hurt Syndicate is looking to collect gold and to keep gold and
Mhm.
not just lose gold. They want the belts around each shoulder and the waist, with MVP carrying some as well.
Yeah, and too, like the way that Bobby Lashley stepped aside and MVP and Shelton Benjamin standing side by side almost made it look like it was those two challenging Private Party, with Bobby Lashley maybe looking for some different gold. I don't know, but Robbie, you did bring up a very excellent point. Is I can't remember the last time we've seen Mark Briscoe pass out in such a dominant fashion for Bobby Lashley and have a match loss via referee decision. Also, speaking of which, say his name when he appears. It's Mac. What's up?
No,
But yeah, that was a very dominant fashion. But hey, shout out Briscoe. He looked like he was trying every single thing he could. He looked like he was pulling every move out of his arsenal, but nothing could keep the juggernaut of Bobby Lashley down. And Bobby Lashley looked like $1,000,000. And I think
walked like $1,000,000.
exactly. But you know what? I think this match, whether it was predictable or not, sometimes that's a good thing. It doesn't
It
have to
served its
always be.
purpose.
Exactly. It served its purpose. That's well put, Caesar. And speaking of a match serving its purpose or being unpredictable, we of course have the Casino Gauntlet. This is actually the men's Casino Gauntlet because they made the announcement that next week they're going to have one for the women, where the winner of that match is going to take on Mariah May or maybe Harley Cameron if Harley manages to defeat her for the title even though it's non-title, I believe, for Collision.
Okay, can I just say one thing about this whole thing about the Harley Cameron thing before we get to it?
That she's absolutely amazing and incredible.
This, dare I say, kooky version of herself, you almost can kind of attach yourself to.
She is so much fun. Like when she first showed up, I didn't know what to think of her, and quite honestly, I almost didn't like her and
I'm
found her annoying. But as time went on, she's without a doubt one of my favorite acts right now.
I'm glad they separated her from Saraya. Let's go with that.
That was a good choice.
It felt like it felt like she was like, like, yes, Saraya, sure, Saraya, yeah, I'll do that, Saraya, anything for you. Like, no, now she's just being annoying and weird, which is great.
Sorry to hear Mac having to explain a lot of AEW storylines to your coworkers, but hey,
Just
you know
gonna
what?
watch this
I
podcast.
know how that feels
Exactly. Hey,
sometimes.
send them our way. Dirt Sheet Radio. We will do
We
all
got
the
it
work for
covered.
you. But hey, speaking of doing the work, let me tell
That,
you, we had the Casino Gauntlet, and that was wild. That was
did
chaotic.
you write the names down this time though? I
Oh, I
did.
got the names.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, let's
We had
go.
number
Lately,
one
AEW's
winning
been so
it
good. I
in
don't
a
write nothing down.
exactly. We had number one coming in there, the Switchblade Jay White, who won the number one position in a triple threat match last week. And Jay White comes out, and who else to fight him but the Hanger, Hangman Adam
That
Page, the
was
fireman.
awesome when that happened. Everyone's like, "What the hell is this?" And I'm like, "Oh my god, let's do this."
Exactly. I don't know who I was expecting. It wasn't the Hangman, but when you think about it, these two starting it off is so apropos
Yep,
for just everything that's been going on the last few months.
hands down. Be different if it
Exactly.
was like a random squash start. That's what it would have sucked.
Exactly. And following up, we had number 3, and before I get to
The
that, they made it a point to mention that the different intervals will also be randomized, which was kind of
oh
funny, but I liked that for the explanation of not wanting to have any entries during commercial breaks. So I kind of appreciated that, but at the same time, I'm like, that's so stupid.
Mhm.
no, I mean, it was like imagine if the list was pulled a certain way, and some big name came out during commercial. That would have been so unfair to them. So I kind of understand what
Yeah.
they're getting at, but also understand what you're getting at, guys. So
Yeah. On the surface, it's lame, but it was absolutely a necessary evil, and I appreciate it, and I hope that that's something that does come back, or they just do the old Royal Rumble philosophy of say it's 90 seconds and make it either 1 minute
but
or 3 minutes.
didn't they always say 90 seconds and it became like 30 seconds or like 2 minutes instead? It was never 90 seconds all the time.
Oh my gosh, if you watch like that 92
I
Royal
feel like they probably had
Rumble,
to
like
rush
how
it.
many segments during the 92 Rumble were not 90 seconds, but were instead like 2 whole minutes at least?
Yeah, like
Yep.
one of the Rumbles recently, there was like someone make it to the ring, and as soon as they're in the ring, all of a sudden, oh, here's off the ropes. Oh, oh, hey, look, 10 seconds left. I'm like, wait, what? Like, are they including the entrance in the minute and a half or what? Like, I was wondered.
Mhm.
Right.
So,
But speaking of, wait, what? I said that when number 3 came out, Wheeler freaking Yuta of the Death
oh,
Riders.
the little brother.
Why?
Little brother Yuta.
Why?
I was wondering, because this Yuta coming in there made me legitimately think at some point we were going to get Orange Cassidy in the match. And I'm surprised we didn't, because we had Jay White, we had Hangman, we got Yuta. All the ingredients were there for Orange Cassidy, which is, again, wild that we didn't get him in
For
there.
for all we know, he could have been after Double J.
Exactly. He could have been number 12.
Is that what it
Yes.
was? Three,
But
6.
however,
Oh, that is 12.
12 through 21.
exactly, he could have been in the match. He just never
He
got to
could have
win.
been, yeah, exactly. His name could have
Fucking
been
A.
in the cookie jar. They pulled name our numbers, and you know, like unlucky number 12, like you said.
But we had Hangman. The Hanger was taking care of business, and then at number 4 we heard whose house,
Oh,
and
I was so
Hangman's
pissed about
getting
this.
ready to lose it until you hear ha ha, and it's freaking that troll Ricochet stealing Swerve's spot after committing homicide last week. Ricochet entering in there
True
without the
words.
golden scissors, and Ricochet is just going right after everyone in there, but he's flying like it's nothing. But you got to be careful with that guy because he's also kind of a psychotic killer now. But I don't know
Yeah,
if you guys also had. Feel free to interrupt me too as I go through these entrance, fellas. If you had any points in between to bring up,
I mean, oh, Robbie's losing power or something like
House
that.
Black.
Yeah, House of Black
House of
is
Black is
coming in.
in.
You're gonna hear barking pretty soon. No, what I was gonna say is like, whenever I see Ricochet right now, and he walks out with a really serious, strict face, he looks like someone's pissed off little brother. I hate to say it. Like he's like, you know what I mean? Yeah, just you took
Yes.
my cookie. Like I can't take him seriously.
I'll be
I,
careful taking that cookie though, because you might get some scissoring to the hands, and not the type
no,
from Kester and Bowens.
no. I will say he's a good wrestler, but when he opens his mouth and rambles about literally I don't know what, I'm just like, shut the hell up, Ricochet. Please, just
Until he
shut
does
the
the
hell up. Whenever he does that, I want to smack him. Just not like beat him up. Just that's it.
like to get the spray bottle and just stop it.
Yeah, shh.
Who we smacking?
Ricochet,
Ricochet.
like he's
Yeah,
a good wrestler, but like just shut the hell up.
I felt like that whole thing with the whole Swerve's house coming out stuff, that was corny as all hell. You
If I
didn't
was
need to
in,
do that. You can't go from 1 week beating the absolute hell out of him to next week just becoming a joke.
Right.
just we'll see what happens next week. But anyways, back to the list. After Ricochet, who did
After
we have?
Ricochet, we had Adam Cole,
Adam Colley,
baby. And Adam Cole was going through coleslaw, was hitting super kick after super kick after super kick.
minus the
He
10.
had the spirit of HBK Shawn Michaels in his system.
His old
And
mentor, so to speak.
exactly, his old mentor, his inspiration, one of his favorite wrestlers of all time. And I was going to make a Wrestling Bios reference, but if nobody gets that, I'm going to sound like I'm accusing Shawn Michaels of some things he's openly talked about himself, but we can't say that on here. But anyways,
Skip.
Adam Cole, baby, and Ricochet recreate that iconic
Caution.
Shawn Michaels and Shelton Benjamin spot that Shelton Benjamin himself has been recreating recently, and that was great. Shout out to Adam Cole getting to showcase those super kicks. Adam Cole also, I gotta say, his physique looks like it's quite improved over the last couple of weeks.
Maybe it's all the money that got donated by
Yeah,
MJF.
yeah, because whatever it is, like his color looked way better. He didn't look jaundiced anymore, and on top of that, he looked like he had a little bit more muscle mass on him. So shout out if he
He
is
ate
working out on it.
2 Big
That'd be great.
Macs.
Only two. That's all it takes. But hey, speaking of
Who's
a
next?
following up with Danny Garcia,
Danny
Danny
G.
Magic was absolutely happy to see the TNT champion coming on out there, and it was awesome to see Danny Garcia again and get that showcase. But lucky number 7 it was because we get Powerhouse.
Yeah.
Powerhouse Hobbs
I
walked
was
in there.
so pumped to see him actually come out being used.
Exactly. And we saw him during the 2-on-1 handicap match last week. He made sure to let everyone know that he wants some gold. He wants Moxley's gold at that. Remember, he got injured during a match with Moxley, which took him out of action and put him on the shelf for quite some time. So now
Yeah.
that Hobbs is back, he wants payback. He wants revenge. And what better way than to come in here and be that dominator that we've seen him as? And hey, we have Powerhouse Hobbs, who breaks backs. Who best to follow him than the Messiah of the Backbreaker? Number 8 is Roddy Strong. Next Strong, baby. End of Heartache. Let's go. I wish they played that. But hey, Roddy coming on in there, helping out Adam Cole, baby. Roddy just did not take his shirt off for the longest time. I don't think he did at all for the
At
whole
all.
match.
Hey, sometimes that little quick second, you can't take that shirt off, man. You gotta get in there before somebody else takes that pinfall.
Exactly. There's no time. You gotta rush on in there and stop him. But hey, you can't have one meat wrestler in there without another. So number 9 is a Murder Hawk monster, Lance frickin' Archer. He comes on in there, and again, you couldn't avoid this at some point. We had to have a standoff between the Murder Hawk and Powerhouse Hobbs, and that was iconic. Those two big guys. One a former member of the Don Callis family, and the other one of the current monsters in the Murder Machines. Yeah, this was great. You had someone that was a big 300-pound powerhouse, and Lance Archer, who's very strong himself, but also very tall. You can easily call him a giant. And we followed that up with Kyle O'Reilly, which when he came out, it almost, to me, I don't know if you guys felt this in any way, when they had like his theme song pop up and the conglomeration logo, it almost felt like a mistake. I thought the machine was getting ready to come out.
I thought that too, but I guess what it is he's supposed to be with Undisputed Kingdom as well. But then again, there too, he never really officially announced that he was leaving Orange Cassidy's side either. So who knows? He might just be both, like an ally to both people.
Why not?
I feel bad for him because like he came out to the ring, like he walked out and his music played, and it was just like you could hear a pin drop. I felt bad for him.
I think because of that lack of exposure for Kyle O'Reilly, it really has affected him. A lot of people have not really been popping for him, even though we know what he can do. He's a great professional wrestler.
No,
but I think because Tony Khan hasn't been bringing him into the fold too much, and it's now starting to pick up, and that plus injuries as well for Kyle O'Reilly, his diabetes also coming into play as well. It's a lot of fans have been tuning out on Kyle O'Reilly, and it's a damn shame because he deserves a damn pop for crying out loud. He's a damn good wrestler.
Honestly, his theme doesn't get me excited for his intro, which what sucks about it.
That's it too.
Him.
I think also
it's not like one of these.
No, it's not. And like I think when Kyle O'Reilly comes out, for how many matches now, he has only done like tag and trios. We haven't really seen much of him solo. So I think a lot of people too are just like, whose name is this? And there's kind of that old like 2024 Royal Rumble thing where you don't recognize the theme song, so you can't get hyped right away in the Pavlov effect.
No. You guys want to see a good one? I could find the video for you guys, probably on YouTube somewhere. Someone did a TikTok version, but who cares about that version? And it's like 2022, the most recent one where Jordan Grace was in it. 22?
That was last year.
23.
24.
Yeah.
24? Okay. I'm making sure I got it right. And they took all the women's entrances first, and it was a guess who's game. And basically it just said the number of the entrant, and then you have to guess who it was. and people tried doing it, and everyone bombed. Like everyone got like 5, 6 out of like 30 or something like
Well,
that.
in WWE's case, it's because Death Rebel fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Well,
There's no doubt about
no,
that.
like Def Rebel did a handful of really good theme songs. That's some that I still bump when I'm walking around, but that's it. Not very many. Like you can probably count on one hand how many are good, if we're being honest here. And
Yeah,
like,
it's just such a shame because WWE music used to be top notch. No one could stop Jim Johnston,
Bring back Jim
and
Johnston.
Jim Johnston alongside some of those iconic production theme songs, because I'm not gonna cap, like those were pretty good from both WWF and WCW. I still listen to some of those to this very day.
how could you
Hell,
not?
bring back Jimmy Hart for the fucking music production. At
Yeah,
least he made some good shit. Like,
he
come
But
on.
did.
the only thing that sucks with a few of Jimmy's is like they were almost there like sampling, but like they were changed just enough to get him away with it. That's what sucked about it.
Mhm.
But they're still better than some of the crap Def Rebel did. Oh my god.
Exactly. And AEW and the Turner Network still owns a lot of those Jimmy Hart songs, including a whole library of unreleased songs that were never used in WCW or were probably used for very niche things like Worldwide and Pro commercials, So there's a
Home
lot that
Depot.
they could utilize. And who doesn't live for 80s and 90s rock ballads, right? Like, especially real
Mhm.
good instrumental. Brad Armstrong's WCW theme song hits so well still in 2025, and that is a
And you
hill I
talk
will
about,
happily die on.
and you also talk about those '80s ballads and stuff like that. I mean, Brian Danielson, man, the final
Yeah,
countdown, like
exactly.
Well,
it hits in wrestling. We love this shit. Like, just bring that shit back. We'll be happy.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
Can we
just
get
curious
one
of
for good
like,
price?
I mean, unless you guys have heard stuff I haven't, I'm just kind of curious. Like every time Tony's used Final Countdown for Danielson, what's the price quota on that? I wonder. And like
I
if
think the Young Bucks
he's
hit it on the nail. It's probably 300,000 every time they played
no, but I'm what I'm
it.
wondering is like is
Sheesh.
no, I mean like is it per use amount of the song? Like what's I'm wondering.
I
Like is it
They
one of
believe
probably have
those?
some sort of
every
contract.
Yeah, and I believe it's for if they play it, even just 1 minute counts as one play of the song. And
Mhm.
when they did that one, Anarchy in the Arena, and it was on repeat, that counts as a whole new take. So it was another couple hundred G's to
Yeah.
throw to them.
Or
Mhm.
the other one I was wondering is like is this one of those like you guys were saying too? Is it a contract where they pay the chunk of change and then like for
I
like the whole
mean,
calendar year it's
somehow they could pull a Paul Heyman and make sure these artists never find out.
You play it in the arena, which is how a lot of like NFL games get away with it, and MLB and things like that. And I want to say
the
too,
secret's out.
shh, don't tell anyone. And upon that, my thought train is just completely derailed. But speaking of iconic theme songs, number 11 comes out, and it's wee woo, wee woo. It's Jeff freaking Jarrett
Can
coming
you
here
guys find
selling
his
his
Tiffany
song
toys.
on
Elliott,
Spotify?
My world. We don't need it on Spotify,
no.
baby. We got it right here. My
I
world.
want to
TNA at
walk
one
around.
point had stuff on Spotify, but they took it all off.
I want to walk around listening to that shit on full volume like a dick and just like walk through buildings.
YouTube Music.
It
YouTube
fits the
Music.
theme song. But hey, Jeff Jarrett comes in there and immediately gets face to face with Wheeler Yuta, who they start fighting on the stage, almost tripping over the lighting rigs there on the ringside area. And Jeff Jarrett almost immediately gets taken out of the match. And
I think this is the first time ever, as a professional wrestling fan, that I actually gained sympathy for Jeff Jarrett. Like, I actually genuinely felt bad for him. Like, come
yeah,
on. You're telling me, like, just last week you announced that you are about to retire at some point. You want that gold just to be told, oh, yeah, by the way, you're doing the gauntlet tonight, but Wheeler's going to kick you out of this match. You're never going to even hit the ring. Imagine what Jarrett had to feel after he heard that.
which is why I'm absolutely glad that they went with that promo following it, because they needed to have some level of explanation. But yeah, we're going to get to that. But hey, the finish of this match, we've been talking about it for a bit. Powerhouse Hobbs hits a tremendous spine buster on Kyle O'Reilly and gets that much deserved pinfall victory. And that was awesome. Powerhouse Hobbs getting his chance in the limelight, being able
Dude,
to, as JBL used to say, have his time to dance with the lights on bright.
Do
Powerhouse Hobbs is the number one contender.
I hate to ask this question, but it's only appropriate now. Do we see Hobbs having any chance of a near fall, or is it just
Probably
gonna be one of
near fall,
those?
yeah.
Near falls.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
like,
gonna be a good match. It's just we know who's gonna win.
which really sucks. But who knows? Maybe Tony will throw us a hard swerve and he'll win some weird way. We never know, which sucks.
I feel like a lot of people weren't expecting Hobbs to get this victory. I honestly didn't
I sure as hell
myself.
didn't either. Yeah, the way
My
they've
That
been
was a
doing
swerve.
Hobbs, I didn't
my
think so.
my brain, in some weird way, was like, if it goes to Ricochet, I might cancel my internet subscription. I know it's an extremist move, but it's like, why? There's better heels out there.
In all honesty, I wish they would have went with Hangman and then just see Jay cost Hangman the match. I would have rather seen that.
Well, after the match, John Moxley's wife Renee comes in the interview Powerhouse Hobbs after the match, and Hobbs says John Moxley was the one who brought him to AEW, and he even uses the
Fucking
word
biased.
shoot, and I appreciated that. And he says next week he is going to shock the world, and he borrowed one from Kazuchika Okada's book and called Moxley his
Bitch.
And here's the
Absolutely.
thing. Did anybody look at the end of that after he said he was going to make Moxley his bitch? Did anybody look at Renee's face when he said that?
Yep.
Renee didn't like that whatsoever.
She was like,
oh shit.
She's like, I already do that on a regular basis. No, the one thing I was gonna say, I was like, because Hobbs looked pretty pumped up. I was afraid he was gonna turn around by accident, and just like clock her
Oh,
or
shit.
something like that.
You know what I didn't realize, guys?
What?
It's that. Besides the predictability too, they're going to be in Cincinnati next week. That is
Yeah.
Moxley
Ooh.
country right there.
yeah,
That's Moxley's like
That's his
soil right
backyard.
there.
That's his jungle, so to speak, in football terms.
right.
So if Hobbs is a heel and he won, then that'd be perfect. But he's not. So
Right.
sorry, Hobbs.
But we'll see, because Hobbs does have a lot of love and respect from the audience. And speaking of which, he also
Great.
showed some respect to Jeff Jarrett as he was walking out, give him a
That was dope.
handshake. That was nice. I like that. And Double J, speaking of which, comes down to the ringside and he talks about in a little bit with Ian Riccaboni. Which shout out to Ian Riccaboni being on tonight's show, by the way.
Yeah,
He's a
that's-
fantastic.
And his
a while,
freestyling
too.
he did.
Riccaboni is great. And Jeff Jarrett, though, following that performance and being taken out of the match instantly by Wheeler Yuta, he starts to question himself and wonders if he made the right call, if he made a mistake by signing a new contract, and if he even has what it takes to make a TNA reference here to be the king of the mountain.
Ooh.
Oh,
And
he is the king of the mountain.
but we had MJF, the
TNA.
devil, coming out there, and it seems that we had a deal with the devil potentially coming here, as MJF wanted to make a deal with Jeff Jarrett. MJF wants that Triple B, and MJF was even showing respect to Jeff Jarrett, which is highly unusual for MJF. And MJF even said that his father was a Jeff Jarrett fan, and I love the line he said, "When my father was young, he was a fan of yours." Call someone old without saying they're old. I loved it. But hey,
Savage.
MJF talked about every single thing that Jeff Jarrett's done, and he's a multi-time world champion. He's a two-time Hall of Famer. For a while, he was even briefly a member of the Four Horsemen in WCW. So Jeff Jarrett's done it all. He's been everywhere you could possibly be. Again, multi-time world champion. And if anyone else other than MJF is worthy of the Triple B, then MJF says it's Jeff Jarrett. And because he knows how badly Jarrett wants to be the world champion, the clock is ticking because he reveals a secret. And when MJF spoils this for everyone, I love how there was a fan in the audience who said, "What's his secret?" And MJF reveals that the contract Jeff Jarrett signed was actually only a 1-year contract extension because AEW brass might think that's all Jeff Jarrett deserves and has left. And he wants to make a deal with Jeff Jarrett.
Ooh.
Shake my hand and accept the terms of the devil's deal, then you, my friend, will be the champion so long as you provide me that first title match.
Nah.
No, the crowd's going no, we're going no, and thankfully Jeff Jarrett sees the light and says, MJF, I've seen a lot of your kind come and go in wrestling, and you are a one-hit wonder, which makes the crowd go wild, and everyone starts chanting one-hit wonder at him. And MJF, as Jeff Jarrett says, had the opportunity to enter the casino gauntlet, and he chose to not. He instead tried to wheel and deal. And Jarrett says he's going to make the most of this year and that 1 year left on his contract, and he doesn't need MJF at all. Fellas, any thoughts, questions, comments, concerns?
This is one thing I love about MJF, especially when it comes to how he cuts promos on Legends. He'll sit there, give these wrestlers their flowers, and then within the same fucking minute, the same fucking sentence, switch up and then shit in your cereal at the same time. That's why MJF is one of the best. He is the best promo cutter in AEW by far. But to my surprise tonight, Jeff Jarrett put him in the school. He did what he did in his home state of Tennessee. Obviously, where they were in Nashville tonight, so obviously he lives right outside of Nashville, over in Hendersonville, Tennessee, which isn't that far from Nashville, if I'm correct. But however, Jarrett gave that old veteran speech that we have always heard in any professional wrestling company of, you're still being naive. You think your successes, you can live off your successes, but you also need to fail, sort of deal. Basically, sort of saying what he was telling Hangman, that all your actions eventually is going to catch up to you back in the summer. And Jeff Jarrett did a really good job, as he always does. That is one thing I always give Jeff Jarrett credit for, is his ability to cut promos. It's why he was a multiple-time WWE Intercontinental Champion, multiple-time WWE Tag Team Champion. The accolades goes on, and Jeff Jarrett, if this is officially the last ride for the last outlaw in professional wrestling, I hope AEW gives him the flowers he deserves. Honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing him go 13-time world champion. Why not? I mean, never say never. Cena's trying to go for 17, as he said on Monday Night Raw, so why the hell not? And Jeff Jarrett will say what we want about his TNA run, but he has changed since that time, of course. He got sober. He's got a wonderful family, and Jeff Jarrett at that point in time, in my opinion, that promo, he schooled MJF, and not much people can school MJF. The last time somebody really schooled MJF is now over there on the Red brand, and his name is CM Punk.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say, has Jeff ever been ROH champion?
No.
So there's two prizes that he could try for.
There's an option. That's what they did with Claudio. You can easily also pop Shelton Benjamin. Anything's better than Chris Jericho, though, I gotta say. But
Yeah, at this point,
honor, damn it.
I'd rather see Claudio or Double J as champ over Chris Jericho. So
I'm just saying, Shelton Benjamin, Ring of Honor World Champion.
no, not Ring of Honor champion.
Okay, that's fine. He was
Ring of Honor. Here's Ring of Honor champion, TV champion, pure champion, and tag team and
honestly,
6-man champion.
I'm going to say this right now before we move on when it comes to Jericho. Matt Cardona should have fucking won a final battle. Just saying.
Anybody should have won a final battle.
Imagine the reaction if Matt Cardona won. We're going to see more of what happens there, but we also got the Rated R superstar Cope making his way out, and quite honestly, Jon Moxley's got a lot of people that want his head, and Cope says that Moxley crossed the line when he went after FTR, Dax and Cash. Dax the Axe, Cash the Gunman, baby. Boom. Cope says that no one has ever fought through what he has to be standing in the ring, and he's talked about his broken neck that he had in a match with Eddie Guerrero, and he finished the match. And he talks about his broken leg that he got in the match with Malachi, and he finished the match. And on top of that, he won both of those matches. And Cope's just running through injury after injury, and no matter what, he still comes back. And quite frankly, I forgot about a lot of those injuries, and I'm thinking like, wow, Cope really has been through a lot in his long career. And even when you think about it, like his first WWE match, I forgot who it was, but he injured in his debut match one of Los Boricuas, and
Mhm.
it almost feels like that was the
And it is
beginning. It was a sign of like an injury plague, so to speak, for the rest of his career. But he always persevered, and he keeps coming back. And that was a major point that the legend wanted to bring up there, as you saw on his shirt. And Moxley,
I hate this
Claudio,
shirt.
and the injured Wheeler Yuta are coming out because they've had enough of hearing Cope speak. And usually they got the numbers on their advantage. Cope's looking around. He knows what their game is. He's looking for Shafir. He's looking for Pac. But FTR actually storms in and blindsides them by jumping from behind. Unfortunately, Shafir and the returning Pac were both on standby. And again, this turns into a 5-on-3 numbers wise. There was really no chance for rated FTR until a timely and surprising assist from the number one contender, Powerhouse.
That
And
was great.
that was
That's two men
awesome.
to even up the score for sure.
Exactly. Not only is the score evened up, but that visual of all of the Death Riders who have no problem jumping anyone see Powerhouse Hobbs pull the straps down and step into the ring. This big, strong tank. They made their way out. They didn't even want to try it,
Mhm.
especially because they also knew the others were getting up there. But the fact that one guy made the entirety of the Death Riders turn and run away and flee, that was something that was good for Hobbs there, I feel. But all in all, what do we think? Saving Cope from a plastic bagging a la Brian Danielson? Was that the right time? Did they go too far? Maybe Cope doesn't deserve this slot. He also made sure to point out that Copeland uh, didn't get that opportunity to go into the casino gauntlet. So, you know what? It's good that they at least addressed that following Jarrett, but I feel like we have too many promos in a row here, and the show's kind of slowing down a
Yeah,
bit. Robbie, your thoughts?
I can agree with you on that too. There was a lot of promos tonight that were consecutively done in between wrestling. It kind of actually felt like Monday Night Raw on Netflix
Yeah.
at one point for me. But otherwise, when it comes to, I'm not gonna say it. I'm just gonna say I'm either gonna call him either Adam Copeland or Edge. So at this point, when it comes to his time in the WWE as Edge, we have seen his injuries. We have seen what he can do after those injuries. He had persevered a lot. He was told at one point too that he's never going to main event in professional wrestling as well. We were talking about a guy who put in his high school book that one day he was going to be WWE champion. Seeing what he was able to overcome, that neck injury against Eddie Guerrero, having two surgeries, and that second surgery helping him to get back into the ring full time, to that broken leg, which honestly, Edge, you should, Adam, I love you. Like, seriously, I do, but you should have never done that fucking spot to begin with. But otherwise,
Nobody told you to do that, Adam.
exactly. Especially me because I'm a big fan. I'm a Copeland sip. I'm not gonna lie. But otherwise, the promo wise, it's what you get. It's Adam Copeland straight from the heart. Everything that Adam does in his promos, you feel it in his realism. Even though I want that rated R, that real rated R superstar to come out, not his late WWE run, I mean the same one that'll sit there and spear Marina Shafir without a freaking
You
ounce of any regret of
You're
spearing
thinking
Marina
about
Shafir.
doing it.
Exactly. But otherwise, the beatdown itself, Powerhouse Hobbs coming on down, that is what you needed to do. Book Powerhouse as if he is more than two men coming on down to the ring to take everyone out. That was a good move. That gives legitimacy of hype, possibly puts fear into the Death Riders that Mox actually might lose the title. But I'm also going to say this. Is it me? Do I feel like Rated FTR has two fucking storylines going on? One on Dynamite and then one on Collision with the Learning Tree. What is going on here?
A
Like,
little
that's
bit
what
of
I'm
everything.
thinking. I'm like, okay, they got this feud going on here, but what the fuck? What does the Learning Tree have to do with anything with the Death Riders at this point? And I'm also going to add this one point too. For anybody that is going to go complain about Moxley versus Adam Copeland for the title, it needs to happen. It is long-term storytelling that goes all the way back way before Edge even came back into the ring. And it also is long-term storytelling for Mox when he was Dean Ambrose. because Edge cut that famous fucking promo on him where he said, Stone Cold Steve Austin was right about you when on the podcast when Ambrose was WWE champ. Story that is long term storytelling right there.
Mhm. Absolutely. Caesar, any final thoughts on that?
So this is a double win for AEW, is how I see it. Because if some weird way it goes over and Hobbs wins, just some miracle that they decide to put in the belt on him, the crowd gets what they want. He has his month or so of fame, or 2 months, whatever they do, and then they put the belt on somebody else as a transitional. Sorry to say. Or this is them testing the waters so that, let's say the smoke clears after Revolution, all the other shit going down, and like in like 6 months they go, hey, let's revisit this thing with Hobbs. They loved it then. Let's bring it back and see if it go over. So it's a win-win, no matter how they spin it, which is great. And I'm hoping that like let's say he does get crushed, he loses to Moxley, but the crowd is over with him heavily. Then to quote Orange Cassidy. So
Exactly. And following that up, we had Mariah May talking about the first ever women's
Caesar's
casino
favorite
gauntlet match
person.
next week before quickly getting interrupted by, like we mentioned earlier, the always entertaining Harley Cameron. I really don't want to say too much about this because if you have not seen this,
boobs,
please go and check it out for one
I have
reason
nothing to
or
say.
another.
boobs.
There's that, but there's also just the sheer entertainment value that we
Yeah, I
get
was
to
gonna say
see from
comedy.
Harley freaking Cameron. I think
I
Harley's
hope
fantastic.
I
I
hope
might
to
actually
God
have to rewatch it just to reprocess
I hope to friggin'
it.
anything holy that she's not being given a script. They're just telling her to be batshit crazy.
I hope so because she
I
is
mean, her
a
name's Harley, right?
comedic icon. I Here's the forbidden door I would love to see opened. Harley Cameron, our truth. Come on, that's gonna be funny.
You do realize that it's gonna be one of those moments where you're like, whose side do I pick? Shame on you, Unique.
I
It's gonna
want I want them to show up in just some like random wrestling promotion.
like, why did Willow and Tony look super upset that they didn't get the first spot? Like, you girls
Probably
didn't
because
lose
it's
the
a gauntlet.
match. What's that?
Because it's a gauntlet. If you get the number one spot and you pin the number two, the
No,
match
but
is
like,
over.
they
Yeah,
looked
you
like
win
they just
instantly.
lost it all, is what I'm saying. Like, no, you girls didn't lose it all. You just lost this match. Cheer up. You'll be in the next one next
Hey
week.
though, but imagine though if the match ends with 1 and 2 and you don't even get your chance to come
I
out for
don't
that.
think I don't think they'll ever
No.
pull that card. I think they'll make it like number 5 before they
Oh yeah.
pull the trigger. Honestly.
I love the idea that like you just say that like it's another casino gauntlet and it's just like one wrestler like getting like squash victory after squash victory
Well, like,
as the number 2 person.
I mean, I'm pretty sure us wrestling fans would love to watch like a 20-person gauntlet, but I mean, 5 people is pretty good. 6 people is good.
Also, fellas, correct me if I'm wrong. Was this
You're
the
wrong.
first? Okay, well, okay, I've been corrected. Was this the first casino gauntlet without Will Ospreay?
It was.
Yeah.
Ospreay wasn't even in that match because
Yeah,
he
what
wrestled
what if he
earlier on.
what if he was number 12?
Mm.
What if he was in the curtain ready to run down the ramp like a psycho? And he's like, sorry, Will, you suck. I mean, sorry, you can't. Your match is over.
I almost kind of wish that like AEW's social media team would make like a little dummy list of who like the remaining 9 people would have been, or remaining
No,
nine.
a dummy list, like a joke one of like who's in the match, and just for a good giggle, throw Tony Khan's name in there, like number 10 or something, see if anyone's paying attention. Just like
Shitty.
Tony Schiavone at number 9 or something like that. Paul White,
Excalibur number
like,
20.
yeah, Excalibur number 20, Alex Marvez
Tony
at number
Schiavone.
3, Tony Schiavone at number 1.
Let's go.
Like,
I'll go Tony Schiavone.
dude, that would be a great casino gauntlet. Hey, we got Renee Young as the number 5 spot. Like, what the hell?
Let's
Heck
pop
yeah.
her in. But yeah,
RJ City at number 11. Like,
but I just want to take a moment too to really appreciate this main event match, because this was the main event match,
It was awesome.
and the fact that you had the 3 franchise women of AEW, one of which being a rookie, that was absolutely incredible. And I think the promos, multiple in a row, this is where I really had a problem, because like you said, Robbie, this really made it feel like this was that Monday Night Raw thing all over again.
but
And
hear
I
me,
think this really saved it. And I'd give this match honestly an A. If it wasn't that opening match, this might be match of the night.
hear me out though. What if this is their new system where it's like this week is set up this way, and next week's is gonna be like a 360 from this week's. Like it'll
Yeah,
have
because it
like
is
straight up
Maximum
like 4
Carnage.
matches and 2 promos, or like 3 matches and like 2 decent promos kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like every
Yeah,
week will be
maybe.
different.
I mean, maybe they just laid the format because they want everybody to be more slowed down and just not rowdy yet.
And
So that way, when Maximum Carnage hits, everybody can go crazy for all those matches and get that pay-per-view feel. Maybe they
yeah,
did it to us on purpose.
that I do agree with Robbie 100% on that one.
I also
Look,
kind of think that they wanted to shuffle things a certain way because of the way Raw went over 30 minutes without a single match. I
Which
think they
WWE
kind of
does great, though.
exactly,
That's
and
one thing I'll say.
I think they wanted to switch things up and have Ospreay and Matthews like right at the very start, just to counterbalance that.
just
Because you had a
Just
lot
running
of
the
fans who
solo.
brought that up, and that was one of their biggest critiques of the whole show. And I think Ospreay and Buddy was a strong opener. Could that have been the main event? Maybe they shifted too many things around, and upon them shifting things, we somehow had like 3 or 4 promos in a row.
honestly though, the Harley Cameron thing did kind of hold us over for a bit too. So
Yeah.
props to her and Mariah, I'd say.
Honestly, I'm kind of surprised Tony Khan didn't ask for overtime in this. I think this is like really, if you look at it, it's the first time in a while that AEW kind of ended right on time.
But in an awkward way though.
Yeah.
It's my only beef with it.
Yeah. I'm sure they don't want to play that card too much, especially now that they're on Max. Who knows if they're allotted certain extra privileges now they have to balance 2 forms of broadcast and promotion. But hey,
I'm
we'll see how that factors in at all.
I wonder if what they have it up here for us here in Canada, because you guys have Max. I wonder what that's ours thing in Canada going to be. Probably TSN, I'm assuming. That's
That
my best
sounds right.
guess.
That sounds right to me, honestly.
No, I'm just saying because like um another
That
friend of
does
mine from the
legitimately
US.
sound like something familiar. But what were you saying?
Yeah. No, another friend of mine from the US was talking about it with me, and he's like, "Yeah, you guys have your shows on here. When we watch our shows down here, it's on this platform and so forth. Whether it's like Netflix or, um,
Mhm.
anything like pay-per-views or whatever, like Peacock, for example, that kind of stuff, all that shit. So then up here we have it on a different setup, but we'll get to that another time.
But
Back
hey,
to wrestling.
this was Dynamite 275. We're approaching an hour 30, so I think we should just lightning round these last few segments we have. And if you're just joining us or you just joined us fairly recently, we talked about that finale segment right at the very beginning of our show.
Donnelly.
So when we're done here, make sure you go and rewatch that. But
And
guys,
follow our page,
exactly, make sure you follow us and on our page, Dirt Sheet Radio. But
Radio.
radio. What? Okay, we are going to go and look at our wrestlers of the night, fellas. Who did we enjoy throughout this entire show? Robbie, you want to start us off?
Yeah. So this is the star of the night, right?
Star of the night.
Make
Like a
sure I heard that
star.
correctly. So for me, I'm gonna say this here. First things first, it's an honorable mention. My honorable mention is Tony Storm. She's playing the amnesia character of this Nikki Six
That's
version
not it.
of Tony Storm really well. But my real star of the night, come on, man! I'm gonna do this before anybody else takes it. Never have gotten to yet. This will be my first time saying it. The aura of the cleaner,
Oh,
Kenny
okay.
fucking
You have to.
Omega.
I was like,
That's the
who's he
star of the night.
picking?
You
Who's he
can't go
picking?
anywhere wrong.
That's a great
That's
choice.
good.
Caesar?
Um, I'm gonna actually. I mean, since we're doing it like this, we'll do it too. Honorable mention: Ospreay and Buddy, because what the hell was that? I wouldn't call that a match. There's a new name. I don't know what to call it. Clinic,
Yeah.
a
It is
showdown,
clinic.
something fancy. But I'm giving it to this man because he's back. No, it's not the same as Robbie. Let's just call that now. And he's come back and he's put himself right into the top scene, and that's the man who breaks backs, Powerhouse Hobbs. Whether he wins this week or next week or not, I just want to see him be a complete psychopath next week. Like when Renee went to interview him, you could tell he was very hyped, like he wanted to punch a wall, like in a good way,
Yeah.
not a I'm pissed off way. So
I
hopefully
mean,
they
I'm
do something
happy
with
for him.
Hobbs.
And if I'm correct, this is Will Hobbs' very first world title match,
Ooh,
one on
I think
one.
so. Yeah.
call up all his relatives and tell them to turn the TV on for this one,
Oh,
or
if he's gonna
up the
lose, don't do
TV.
that.
What's that?
If he's gonna lose, don't let his relatives watch.
No, but they should still be proud that he got put in the main thing. That's what I'm
That's
saying.
true.
Like, but the question is, Neek, who's your favorites tonight or favorite?
Yeah. You guys all brought up a lot of great names there.
That's
And
all we do here.
exactly, that's just really what we say. Throw us on.
Banger after banger after banger is what we do
Exactly.
over here in Short Street.
That's what we do. And again,
Buddy.
like Robbie, you said with like Kenny Omega, how could you not pick him? And Caesar, if it wasn't Omega, you also picked Powerhouse Hobbs, and those were both my picks. And honestly,
We
I'll give them
planned it
as
this way.
honorable mentions because I have to say I do have one man remaining, and that is. Come on, he is one of my most consistently picked guys. Will frickin' Ospreay came out for the big save, had an incredible match, made an amazing ally in Buddy Matthews from the House of Black. Like, come on, Ospreay, that is
No
mine.
one
So
expected
there we
that.
go.
No one expected that ally, but
Exactly.
hell
I
of
was
sports.
almost expecting Buddy to kind of help out at the end of the night too. But hey, we go from Megastar. We're going to be looking at our jobbers of the night. And it's really hard to talk about in this situation because, again, so many people look tremendous
Oh,
throughout
I
their
got my
show.
job of the night.
But I'm going to be going in reverse order on this. So I will be starting here. And my jobber of the night is going to be this is a good award because Mark Briscoe looked tremendous up against Bobby Lashley. And he fought tooth and nail. And getting beaten by one of the strongest and most fiercest fighters is not a bad thing at all. So Mark Briscoe looked tremendous in putting Bobby Lashley over, and Bobby Lashley looks even better taking out that longtime veteran. Caesar?
I mentioned him earlier, and I'll say it again. It's no, I'm kidding, not cheesecake.
Oh,
No, I
never.
was totally kidding.
No,
Cheesecake's
he's
like
always the megastar of the night by
he.
default for us.
Oh yeah,
There's, I was gonna say he's an Ultra Megastar, but that sounds stupid. Um, I'm
security guard of
obviously
the night consistently.
no, he's security guard of the year. Don't even give him the night, just year.
I agree.
I'm gonna give it to Kyle O'Reilly. I know he's from my part of the world, but like the homeboy's getting like he comes out, he's all like this and everything, and it's just like, who is this kind of reaction? It's like, man, come on. Whether you see them in NXT, WWE, or now or Ring of Honor or wherever, you're not getting a bad match. So like, come on, react, you guys. Like, give him something to work with here, not just silence. But another question I gotta ask is, Robbie, who's your jobber or bad or whatever?
Well, my job of the night, again, this is going to go to the production team because who the fuck put the damn recap for the six-man tag match between Rated FTR and the Learning Tree on while Meddling is playing? That is my favorite wrestling theme song besides End of Heartache, and they chose that moment over Metal fucking Lingus. Hell no. That's the jobber of the night.
They're gonna see this and be like, he's fired.
All right, and that last but not least will bring us to our matches of the night. Robbie,
Yes, it's an answer. Match of the night, man. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm actually gonna say it. I'm actually gonna put the triple threat match for the number one spot for the gauntlet match as my match
good
of the
choice.
night. All three of those women, they did amazing in that match. Toni Storm, former AEW Women's Champion, trying to get back to the top, even though she thinks she never won it, and seeing what Willow Nightingale is able to do, who is always consistently getting better and better each week, and then Chris Statlander, ever since that Monet feud that she's been having, she has been skyrocketing, getting back to being red hot again. And I'm actually very proud that Statlander got the win because good way to prove that she has still got it. Even with the loss with Monet at World's End, she can still go, hit that Saturday Night Fever, and keep pushing her back to the top because Statlander is a pillar to that AEW's women's division.
Oh yeah.
Yep, Caesar.
Um, I will say this one thing, and this is not me trying to be a dick, but it's more of an actual criticism. I wish Chris had like one of her old themes, because when like some of her
Oh, you
current
don't
themes
get
go off,
Alien theme.
yeah, it's like, oh hey, cool, it's Chris, but it's like, hey, whatever. I'm gonna be the sweetheart in this one and do a bit of a I don't know the word to use. There's different words to use, but I'm gonna give it to the gauntlet match because that was a
Hmm.
lot. Like you can't pick one person of that match and say they didn't do good whether you like them or not. They all did really
Right.
well as a 12 piece.
Yeah.
So whether you whoever you picked, you got your money's worth from 1 to 12.
You
Fortunately,
got your
not
dozen
12.
eggs.
Yeah. Mega
Unfortunately,
star
not 20.
candidates across the board, at
Yeah,
least at one point or another.
it was all good in the hood no matter who went. But the ultimate question we always want to ask, whether it's me or whether it's Robbie, is Neek, who's your match of the night?
I am very thankful that you guys gave me this opportunity to say Will Ospreay and Buddy Matthews.
Oh,
I
I'm changing
mean,
my pick actually to.
no. Listen, if you're gonna start off a show and
I'll
you're
be straight
gonna
honest with you.
counter,
If you kind of look at every episode I did, I always in some way shape or form chose Will Ospreay. So I was like, I gotta go to something different tonight.
No, it's not even that I could have picked that match easily. It's like you going to work and you're always picking the same employee and be like they're the best at the job. It's like no. You gotta look around and actually observe. But I'm gonna shut the hell up and let Neek. Yeah, I got it right this time. There you go.
hey,
I'll let Neek do his rant about why he picked that match.
I mean, listen, like it's Will Ospreay and Buddy Matthews. Really don't need to say much more there. Both those guys killed it. This was a great way to counteract the other wrestling show on Monday night that had again over 30 minutes of no wrestling. You're going to go with an amazing, incredible match with two of the best that you've got on your entire roster who can do it all. Both guys can fly, both guys can go hardcore, both guys can take you to the mat, both guys can brawl. Literally, they can do everything and then some. This was a great match. We have a lot of extra storyline potential with the alliance forming between Ospreay and Buddy, which honestly I think is also going to transcend with Brody King as well. So there's a lot of real cool potential that spawned from this match. And again, this was an amazing match to watch. I didn't need to take any notes. I just literally was watching it and I was blown
I didn't
away by
either.
both guys' pure, true,
Hey,
natural athleticism.
hey,
Yes, sir.
United Empire America.
Hey,
I mean, if NWO can have NWO Japan, why the fuck not?
Do you imagine Osprey, Matthews, King, and then maybe two more people?
hey, why not? They pop Davis in there. He needs something to do.
I mean, they have history. They dated, so.
All right.
I mean, or Ben
But that would be
Balor's
some
coming
shit
around the
right there.
corner. I mean,
You got a lot of opportunities and a lot of
Well,
options there.
but like think of it this way, right? You got Osprey and Buddy as like the smaller dudes, but can, as Neek basically said, do everything. And then you've got Buddy and Davis, who are the big monsters in the back that can kill everyone.
Yep.
Sign the check now. Just That's it.
Exactly. Sign the check. And like you said, Caesar, that is it. And I'm going to be playing that lovely, awesome music that we love to hear because this has been another episode of Dirt Sheet Radio recapping AEW Dynamite. Chat, thank you so much for joining us. It's been absolutely fun hanging out with my boys and being able to hang out with you. But hey, if you enjoyed spending time Dirt Sheet Radio, we're always on. So you could be catching us Monday nights for a Raw recap, Tuesday nights eat for an NXT recap. You're here for Dynamite, so make sure you join us next week.
Best one of the group.
You stay on a little bit for a couple hours. The best kept secret in online professional wrestling is going to be the Dirt Sheet Radio podcast. The show that started it all. It's going to be right there. Myself, John, Matt, you saw in the comments. Greg, yeah, we're going to keep the fun going. So make sure you come and join us there. And hey, if you don't want to stay up, that's perfectly fine. You can listen to it on your way to work, your way home from work, whatever you want to do. Hey, I'm not going to tell you how to listen to your podcast. But remember,
my ears.
Thursday nights, TNA Impact. Friday, Nick Mac John, because we're going to be looking at SmackDown. And this upcoming Friday in particular, Robbie, you're going to be there. And our buddy Mac that we just mentioned. You guys, for some reason, decided, hey, let's make these guys suffer. Let's make them watch WCW Green 2001. This is the final pay-per-view for WCW. Man, oh man.
Robbie's crying already.
Yeah, it's going to be rough, but we love you, so we're doing this for you. But hey, you know what's good? Once we get through Green, we're going to be looking at Chi-Town Rumble from '89. Without a doubt, one of the best peak 80s pay-per-views, not just for WCW, but honestly, I don't know what's hard to say, one of the peak 80s pay-per-views ever. So,
I was going to say here, too, in my belief, any wrestling pay-per-view that happened in Chicago, Chi-Town Rumble was the best pay-per-view that ever happened.
oh yeah, so Chi-Town, baby, that is where it is at. And of course, we also have Tyler and CJ's Weekend Wrestling Roundup with a W. That'll be starting soon. And on Sunday, you also got 3NT's Wrestling Podcast, The Boys. Go and check that out. And hey, I'm Nick LaRocco. You can be able to find me on the Dirt Sheet Radio page. If you see me on there, feel free to leave me a comment, give me a like, share. I always appreciate it. Give me a follow, too. Caesar, where are they going to find you online?
As always, guys, I'm hanging out here every Wednesday with these fine gentlemen, and then, of course, always on the Monday Night Raw review, hanging out with the others as well. And if you want to talk to me on the social media, the thing is right. Well, I got it right. Professionalism. It's at NoobTube on the socials. I name them all, but there are way too many to name. But I know what we want to know, actually, is, Robbie, where can we find you on the socials?
This week I'm making it short and simple. You guys can catch me every Wednesday night too, alongside this Friday night for the worst pay-per-view in WCW history, just about.
Worst.
And you can also reach me out too. I'm always commenting on the Dirt Sheet Radio post that we always do. You can also find me there on Facebook. And you guys can always hit it over to Instagram as well, which my Facebook is connected to my Instagram. So most likely, if you just type my name there, as you see on Dirt Sheet Radio, you're going to find that over there as well. So go ahead and check it out. And I'll also come back, see you guys Friday for a little tearjerker that is always going to be in my mind.
Absolutely. And if you saw them earlier in the show, I'll pop their comment back on here. Make sure you also check out True Healing.
Yay!
In the show, also some of our boys, some of our friends. We love them, and we can't wait to collab again in the very near future. But again, chat, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you in a little bit. And again, make sure you have a great, fantastic weekend. You're awesome. You're cool. I love you. And we'll see you later.